Some of you may have heard of PlanetScale. PlanetScale have been in my Twitter feed for a while now, and I've been keeping an eye on them. They are advertising themselves as serverless databases with infinite scale, which I found quite interesting. I've been waiting for a while to test this out, and the other day I saw the tweet that they now have connection strings. So I thought this would be a great time to dig into it and show you how we can get this set up with Laravel. There is a few quirks with the setup and there are some limitations. We'll cover a few of them, but let's just see where we can get to. So I've got an account and I'm just going to create a new database. I don't want it to be the tutorial one, so I'm going to call this Laravel test. All right, let's go ahead and create that. Okay, so now that that's created, PlanetScale have this concept of branches, which I don't fully understand right now, but we can get into that maybe in a later video once I understand a little bit more. So right now we have a master branch, a main branch on Laravel test. My understanding is that you shouldn't be using that main branch. We should create a new one, and you'll get the permissions to be allowed to run our migrations and queries against that. So I'm going to create a new branch. I'm going to call this development based off main, and let's create the branch. Okay, so I'm going to try to connect to this now, and to do that it's asking me to generate a password, so I'll do that, and it's giving me all the settings. I've got the general option here with all the settings, so I'm just going to copy these across into Notepad so that I can use them later. Okay, so to start with, why don't we use TablePlus? And let's create a new connection to MySQL. All right, so I'm going to call this PlanetScale Laravel test. And I'm now just going to copy across all the settings into here. Database name, password. All right. Okay, so they've all gone green, so it looks like I can connect. And this to me looks like we've got a connection, obviously no tables. So that's great. All right. So I've got this brand new Laravel application. I haven't done anything else to it. It's just default. So first thing we'll do is just copy across the information into our environment file to connect to the database. So the database name, the username, the host, and the password. All right, so with all those things set up, we've got some migrations in here, so we can just test this straight away by running the PHP migration file. So we do have an error here, and this is expected. The connection that PlanetScale have is very secure, so they require us to use a certificate. If we pop along back along to our admin, and you'll see that once we select this branch and we go to connect, if we select PHP here, or maybe general, one of them, oh, here we go, has this information about certificates. So we click on that, it'll give us a little bit more information about what all that is. and also it gives us access to some information here about where they are stored. So I'm on Mac at the moment, so I'm just going to use this one. Presumably if you're doing deployment to a Linux server or somewhere else, then you can just use the other ones. So there is a environment setting which I can use for this. So I'm just going to add this in here, and this is the setting that I copied across from their website. All right, so with that in place, let's go back and try to run the migrations again. All right, so it looks like migrations were run successfully. Let's have a look in TablePlus. If I refresh this, here we go. Got our migration table, and it's all been run. And that's it. So technically right now, we've got a PlanetScale database. We branched off, we got the connection strings, we updated our environment file with the settings, and we've run the migration, so we've got everything connected. So what I wanted to just do now was experiment with creating another migration and just showing you one other limitation of this. So let's just do a PHP artisan make migration, and let's create a blogs table. Okay. So this is pretty standard, obviously. So what I'm going to do now is give the blog a foreign key of the users. So we should be able to do this. This is pretty standard again. It's just going to say that a blog belongs to a user or a user has blogs, right? So let's try and see what happens if we run this migration. So here we have a problem because it's saying that foreign key, you can't use foreign key constraints. Now, this is a limitation of PlanetScale at the moment, and that you can't use foreign key constraints, but it looks like you can still use the foreign key. You can still use this, and we can still index it, but let's just get rid of the constrained and get rid of the cascade on delete. I am just going to have to go back to TablePlus because it has created that blogs table, even though it couldn't finish running the migrations. All right, so now that that's removed, now that we've removed the table and we've removed the actual constraints, let's try running the migration again. And this time it's been successful. So we have been able to create a new migration, run it. Everything's running against PlanetScale's database. We do have blogs. Now you'll notice that the index has been set up here, but there is no foreign key constraint on there. So what we could just do quite quickly as well is, now that we've got a new migration run and we've been through a couple of other things, how about we run the seeder and see if we can create some users. So we're going to do PHP artisan db seed, and then I think you can do class equals date. But it's going to call the seeder by default, isn't it? Looks to be doing something. Seeding complete. All right, let's go back to our users table, look at the data, and it has all been successful. Very interesting. So given that we've got users here, I could now go in here and test this out by putting a 1 in here for 1 and Now, so that has technically created a new blog, but sometimes if you've got foreign key constraints turned on, you'll see in the use TablePlus, you'll see that there's usually a little arrow here, and you can click on that arrow and it would take you through to the corresponding user in the users table. Because we've had to remove the foreign keys for that, it has gone, but everything else should work. So yeah, really interested to get everybody's opinions on this. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks.